Have you reconsidered using the quarterback seat before? Is that something, Pat, you have talked about?
Well, he's asked me about it.
And your answer?
Well, you saw what we did. We used Bell in there to do it. The guys that won't practice today are Bucker and Dana. So Bucker has the ankle, Dana has the calf. We've had a couple little personnel things go on here. You're aware of Willie's situation. Darius Harris can fill in there. I mean, we've got people to fill in, but Darius has a chance to step in there. And then we have Bennett Whitling that joined our team from the Rams, previously from Holy Cross, so defensive end. All right. So other than that, we look forward to the challenge of playing the Colts. We know they're a good football team, and in this thing, it's record aside. I mean, they're talented, they're well coached. It's a well organized organization. So we've got to make sure we have a good week of practice, and that's starting today. So that time's yours.
Coach Harris, being here, what do you see out of him that makes you think he's ready for this spot time?
Yeah, well, he's coming off good preseason. He kind of knows everything. He's a sharp kid, so I think he's tough. He's got a good concept of the defense, so I think he'll do a nice job. Physically, good size.
Coach, with Indianapolis being that close to the playoffs last year, they felt that a quarterback switch was needed to bring in Matt Ryan. What have you seen the first two games that, gives you signs that, not that they're not a good team and woke up because they are, but they've had problems trying to close out. Obviously, they tied with Houston, who wasn't exactly burning the barn down last year, and then last week, not being able to score against Jacksonville.
Yeah, so, this time of the year, you got to prepare yourself for, anything and everything. Obviously, Ryan he's proven to be a good player, and so we don't get caught up on all that. Then we know what he's capable of doing, so we don't mess around with that. Yeah, we just get ourselves ready to go against their scheme right now.
Cool. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Andy, when were you all made aware of Willie's suspension?
Yeah, so they went through Brett. Probably a better question for Brett. I don't know what we can say and can't say on it, but I'd probably leave it at that, and then we can get that to you. I'll check with our people here. So we had an idea. We had a heads up on it. The exact date, I can't.
Sorry, Coach.
Yep.
On the subject of Willie Gay, I know there's the penalty part of things, but there's also, we talked to him at training camp, and he was talking about his mental health, and we know that's been a subject with him, and it seemed like he was in a really good place and things are going well. And we can imagine football is very important to the kid. To take him away from that, have you been in no competition committee meetings about what's the right way for Willie to not be involved, be involved, and make sure that he's getting everything in the best situation for him personally?
Yeah, that's tough to answer. I have been in on those meetings. The league's very sensitive to issues off the field. They're also sensitive to the mental health part of it. So, and Willie and I had a nice visit. We've got Dr. T here, so Dr. T has talked to him, and his position coach has talked to him. Brett talked to him, so he seems to be in a good place that way right now. And he does. He loves to play the game. Be a long 4 weeks there. So for him, but he's allowed to come back here after 2 weeks, so we'll have him right here. And but I think he's in a good as good a place he can be with that. And we'll be in touch with him and stay on top of all that part.
This could be a very brief question, but is he not allowed, since he's suspended, is he not allowed to appeal it via the CBA, or what is the issue?
No, you can ask Brett about that, but those are Chris Shea questions. I'm not gonna.
Coach, as a follow-up kind of to what Nate was asking about, in the off season, do you get an indicator, or do you guys just say, hey, we've read all the policies on it, and in the offseason, we know we're probably gonna be losing Willie for a few games. That's something you
Yeah, I
prepare
mean,
for?
we had an idea something was going to happen, so we've tried to prepare for it the best we can. So just in case it did.
Andy, Darius Harris has been around for a while. You guys had him. He was injured when he was a rookie. You still kept him around. Obviously, you saw something in him. What was it you saw in him that led you to believe he could develop into a pretty good player?
Yeah. So I tell you, you know, he's smart. He's instinctive. He's tough. He's got a good grasp of the defense, and Spags does quite a few things, you know, within the scheme. So you've got to be able to process all that, and he does a good job of that.
How important does Nick Bolton become over the next 4 games as you're trying to work Harris first and then maybe someone else even in?
Yeah, so Nick, I mean, he's important every week because he controls that thing. So I would tell you, just you know, he's important every week. That's what I tell you.
Andy, just the overall, like in the NFL, there seems to be a lot of people talk about the consistency and suspensions, and it's 2 games or 4 games, 6 games, what have you. Just what are your overall impressions on just how the consistency is with these, you know, suspensions? Are you surprised by any that seem to come through the news?
Listen, that's a loaded question that I don't want to lose money on or not money on. You know, but and I'm not really familiar with every little thing that happens to each team. You know, I don't know that right off the bat. So I think they try to be consistent with it the best they can.
Coach, when you think about the timing of it, after week 2, does that surprise you at all? Did you guys have any indication that it'd be after week 2?
Had an idea of be in this area here. Yeah. So.
Coach, with Willie Gay is so fast, and his speed, I'm sure, is hard to replace. So what kind of adjustments do you have to make when you don't have that speed in there?
Yeah, no, he is. He's a fast player, but we should be okay with that. We should be good with Darius. You know, he'll be all right there.
Andy, just given that you guys have sort of a timeline of when a Willie Gay suspension might come down, do you have any indication on Frank Clark at all?
I don't. No. Yeah.
Coach, on that, you mentioned the Colts and Frank Reich being a good coach and all that stuff. Just as a play caller and a coach who coaches offense, I don't know if you feel for him or sorry for him, but he's been on this like quarterback kind of hamster wheel trying to find a guy. How difficult of a job is that for a coach to try to indoctrinate a new quarterback each and every year to go through that after he had a franchise quarterback there and they kind of had the rug pulled out from under him late in the game before the 1 year?
Yeah, so I'm good friends with Frank. He does a heck of a job with it, and it's tough. But he's got some good guys that have stepped in, so done okay for him. So still early in the year here, so we got to make sure that we're right. I'm not as concerned about all of that as making sure that we do our jobs.
Andy, Leo Chenal is a rookie, and he probably would involve a position switch for him. But was he at all a strong consideration for taking Willie's spot?
Yeah, he's playing quite a bit at the other spot, so we've just kind of left him there and do his thing. We want to make sure we have that taken care of there too.
Jeez, Coach, I'm sorry. I keep
That's all right.
jumping in too early. I keep jumping before the snap. We talked to you Monday about short yardage situations. As you review that, one possibility is using a quarterback sneak, a play that's been effective throughout the history of the league. I just wonder, have you reconsidered that, and why the reason to not use that?
Yeah, that wasn't the case on those 2 plays the other day. We had some mechanical difficulties, so we got to make sure scheme-wise, we get we blocking the right guys and go to the right place. There were a couple of problems, mistakes.
Have you reconsidered using the quarterback sneak before? Is that something Pat and you have talked about?
Well, he's asked me about it.
And your answer?
Well, you saw what we did. We used Bell in there to do it.
Andy, those 3rd and shorts were obviously something you guys were really good at last year. Did you just look at these 2 games and say something's
Yeah, we were wrong. We were wrong on what we did and how we went about doing the job. So as coaches, we got to make sure we're putting the guys in the right position, that the guys do the right thing. I mean, that's really what those came down to. It wasn't, you know, we'll get that taken care of.
For these first two live looks, how do you sense that Patrick is trusting the offensive line to give him enough time to sort of maneuver there?
Yeah, I think he's got good trust in the guys. They've gone against two pretty good defensive fronts, and we got another one coming up here. This group is fully loaded. They've got speed on the outside. And they've got big, strong guys with some flexibility, run-pass flexibility inside. So it'll be another good challenge for us. But I think Pat's got pretty good trust in those guys.
Couple more guys.
This guy just got those 2 snaps at the very end. How do you feel about where he's at progressing?
Yeah, he's doing a good job. He'll gradually get more every week as we go. So, you know, that game actually was just how it worked out. But I mean, he'll keep getting involved in the game plan more.
We'll go Soren and Herbie. Oh, go ahead.
Coming off the Chargers game and then you've got the Bucs next week, how do you keep the guys focused on this week and not kind of skipping over and starting to worry about a tough game in Tampa?
Yeah, well, I mean, you saw the other day, I mean, Sunday, that you can't skip over anybody. Not that our guys would, but there's so much parity in this league. It's crazy. I mean, every game you got to be spot on. And so I don't think anybody's looking at that game. And I sense that there's a big focus on this team. This team is very talented, so you gotta stay on top of that.
Coach, just in general terms, I know it's been a long time since your first year as a head coach, but do you remember your first game and how different it was to be calling the plays, managing the clock, and managing everybody else and doing that? How big of a shock to the system is it when you do that for the first time?
Yeah, there might be a hiccup here or there. Yeah, I remember it well. One mistake in Philadelphia. It's like dog years.
Last one, Herbie.
All right.
Coach, I'd like to let you leave on that note there, but specific to Harrison Butker, how much concern is there that he's dealing with those dreaded and tricky high ankle sprains?
Yeah, so they're tricky. I'm not necessarily telling you it's a high ankle sprain, it's an ankle sprain. But it's a matter of getting the swelling out. So